Brett, another golfer is Brett Goode, and we'll bring him in the conversation of Henderson Phillips Solutions, former Razorback, former Green Bay Packer. Brett, good morning. What was your take on the combination of College Game Day and Augusta National? I want to get your thoughts on that first, man.
Oh, good morning, and I'm excited to watch it. I think with the way COVID is, not allowing fans, I think they're doing it right, the best way they can, because everybody still got social distance, but we still want to see our sports, and so golf's the best way to social distance. I enjoy golf. I've never been there, but it's such a beautiful place. I'm looking forward to watching it and to see how the reaction of the course handles everything this time of year, because we've never seen this course this time of year being played on. So it's going to be really interesting to see how everything's played out.
And that's a bucket list trip for a lot of different people. When I have yet to go, but I'd like to go eventually. I don't know if I'll ever get the opportunity, but I know that's not necessarily a bucket list trip, but a lot of people have made their way to Jerry World, to AT&T Stadium to watch the Arkansas Razorbacks take on the Texas A&M Aggies. It doesn't look like that game will be played after 2024. Brett, from a guy that's played in both the professional league and the college level, what was your opinion on neutral site games?
I think it's hard to you want to play at home, because after the game you get to go home. When you play on a neutral site, you typically have to travel. I know when I was at Arkansas, we played at Little Rock. And a lot of games are after Thanksgiving. We used to play LSU on Friday, and then you have to ride home for 3.5 hours. Instead of just being able to walk to your dorm or be able to just get in your car and go home, which is a lot of times what we did. We'd get in our car and we got to go home for the weekend, especially if you live close with your family and enjoyed all that. So it's tough. I understand both sides of it with, recruiting, trying to get fans, to the games. And Jerry World is awesome. It's a great place to play at, but it's also, when you play at Little Rock and you play there, you want to be able to play at home, because Fayetteville is our home, and when we're good, we can get that stadium rocking.
Yeah, there's 100% on that. Brett, I don't think you didn't get to play Texas A&M, did you?
I did not.
Okay, so while you didn't get to play them, and I know that kind of adds to the ferocity of a rivalry when you actually get to meet someone head to head, but where do you think Texas A&M ends up on the hate list for Arkansas fans?
I think as many times as we're playing them here recently, and with them joining the conference, they're soon going to be it's going to be hated like Texas, just because everybody kind of associates them with the same, and we've got to come up, instead of putting the horns down, we've got to come up with something else that we can do for them. But I think that's the way it's grown, because every game's been close. Even in our bad years, the games have been close, but we've just shot ourselves in the foot, and which is frustrating for Hog fans, because a lot of games we had won and we couldn't walk away with it. So now it's just trying to finish and play a full four quarters and hopefully come away with a win.
Brett, this is Clay. When you look at Arkansas and their development over the first 4 games, what did you see as far as special teams and where they were at the start and maybe where they are now, and what you expect after maybe having a bye week?
Well, I think we've talked about this before, is lining up. We had a lot of just pre-snap penalties are unacceptable. You get combative penalties, it's okay. Where, you're holding, you're fighting against the guy, like within the play, not like literally fighting, but you're fighting against him. You're trying to win the play. That's a combative penalty. But a pre-snap penalty where you're false starting, not lining up, those are the things that you can't take. And we started off the season and we had those. We had the punt block. And we weren't covering real well on kickoff, and so now we've kind of made some strides. We've solid up, made that punt line solid, and we haven't given up a block. We've got to come off this bye week of knowing who we are as a special teams unit, and not try to overstep it, but play within our own game. And if we can do that and just kind of go unheard of, and then every now and then you make a big play. And so far, I think we've grown the right way. You don't want us to start the way that we did, but from our starting point to where we are right now to the bye week and going into this week, I think that we've grown and we've done what we needed to do.
One of the emphasis in the bye week has been, let's find a big play in special teams, a kick return or a punt return. How hard is that to do, and how rare are those kind of plays available in special teams?
It's really hard with the way that teams, their punt formation is now. And in college, you can, as soon as the ball's snapped, everybody can take off down the field. Where in the NFL, once the ball snapped, only the two people on the line of scrimmage can leave until the ball is kicked. So the coverage in college is actually easier to do because you can just take off and run down the field and try to make it, you can almost make it a kickoff coverage where you can just create your lanes a lot quicker and get down the field. So in that aspect, it's harder to be able to get a return, but you've also got the kickers on kickoff that are kicking it into the end zone, and you want to get that ball out, but do you take the risk of running it out of the end zone or right there on the edge with a good hang time? So there's a happy medium with all of it. It goes with hang time where if it's a low kick and you can get to the return quicker, yes, you take it. But if the ball's sitting up in the air a long time and you feel those guys coming on you, it's not worth trying to get 6 yards where you could muff the kick.
Talking with Brett Goode, former Arkansas Razorback, former Green Bay Packer, part of Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions here on the Morning Rush. Brett, when you look at the Kellen Mond, Felipe Franks comparison, we just had on Olin Buchanan last segment. I know that Mond hasn't had the best outings against Arkansas, and I say that kind of lightly. He's thrown 4 picks in the last 3 games. Is there a realistic opinion out there that Felipe Franks might actually be a better quarterback than Kellen Mond?
Well, you see those picks right there, and you see what we've done on interception. So far this year, you start chopping at the bit. But to answer your question, I think that it's the problem with both of them is they're game to game. That they both don't just take off and have a stretch of 5 or 6 games. They just struggle so much, and the inconsistency that's where everybody has a problem. So I think that you can throw Felipe in there. But then it's the next week, he's like, well, why did you not do this? Why didn't just some little things of just throwing the ball away that, a veteran quarterback should know how to do. So it's frustrating for both fan bases because you see your quarterbacks that you had and you see these guys, they have experience, but then they make dumb mistakes as well. So it'll be interesting. And I think in a game like this, it's going to come down to which quarterback plays the best.
You were talking with Clay about special teams. Brett, can we just not allow a special teams kickoff return to Texas A&M? I mean, I was devastated after Christian Kirk's. I know they had one, I think, 2 years ago as well. It seems like it's every other year it happens for the Texas A&M Aggies. What's Scott Fountain got to do to make sure these guys don't take one back?
Well, and we also had, a fake punt in a couple of those games and other things. So special teams has played a big role in all these games. So for Scott and his guys, what he's going to do is just tell them to do their job. You do your coverage lanes. You don't have the penalties, the pre-snap, the lining up offsides or, on the kickoff. And you never want to have to come back and re-kick. That's the worst part about special teams is when you have to come back and re-kick, you've got guys that are gassed. They've been playing offense and defense. They just ran 60 yards full speed, if not more, and they're tired. And so you don't want to come back and redo something. You just need to kick it, and hopefully, you stay in your coverage lanes. And if we used to call it buzz by, where you can kind of get in the guy's head of, when he fair catches it, you still run right by him. You give him the presence that you're always there, that he doesn't want to return the ball. But if there's nobody around, that returner is going to, if he's what most returners are, they start chomping at the bit, but there's nobody there, and you're like, okay, I'm gonna try and take one to the house. So it's another happy medium on special teams, but you've got to get down there and just do your job and make the coverage lanes, and I think that we can kind of contain them. And that's what you're trying to do in these type of games.
Brett, I know we had Darren McFadden on twice in the last year, and he told us that he was not going to opt out of that Cotton Bowl game against Missouri. Now, we've seen Jerry Jacobs opt out. We've seen some other players opt out this season, and maybe this season's a little different, but a lot of these players are saying, well, I'm going to opt out in preparation for the NFL. You're a former player. Just kind of your thoughts on that mentality. I don't necessarily agree with it. What are your thoughts as a former player?
Well, I will say this with teammates and everybody along the way, that when guys start opting out, and I get it sometimes for bowl games.
And this year's different because of COVID, so I understand that facet.
Yeah, but let's just take this year out and just go the previous years where people have opted out of bowl games because they didn't want to play in it or what have you. You're basically leaving your brothers and your teammates out there. Mm-hmm. You fought with them the entire year. You've had a career with them most places. Most players have had 4 years, sometimes 5 outside the transfer portal. But you're leaving those guys. And so I think there is some ownership within NFL teams that don't like that don't take that in a high note. And you're also losing game film. That's the biggest thing is they want to see what you can do consistently week in and week out. And I think it hurts I don't know anybody's draft status that it has helped them. I know it's unfortunate if you get injured in those Senior Bowl games and all the different post-career stuff, but you look at a lot of guys that if it's meant to be, it's gonna happen, and you've got to put your play on tape, and they want to see you do it against the good teams.
Brett, before we let you go, we had this riveting hot sauce conversation and debate yesterday. You're a Valentina guy. Why are you a Valentina hot sauce guy?
Well, I used to not like anything hot, and then my wife got me into it, and so we take that and we mix it with Cholula, and I will take stuff hotter than she does. I do the Thai hot when we order Thai food, so it's just something I love on my eggs, and then when I do it on every time we have Mexican food, so. It's just a good little flavor that kind of adds to it that you don't have to put a whole bunch of wasted seasoning on it. But I enjoy it. You saw the big bottle we have, so if you buy the cheap stuff, it goes a long way when you got two people that like it.
Amen. All right, man. So we love having our conversations here every Wednesday at 7:20. Tell us what you got going on at Henderson Phillips Employer Solutions.
Well, we've been staying busy so far. We're doing benefits. I actually had a neighbor the other night talk about, some health insurance. So we do health insurance personal. We do group benefits. We do property and casualty for both personal and commercial. And we've been staying busy so far and trying to just, for me, it's building a book. This is a long-term, next 30-year career that I'm into after playing football. So retired from one, moving on to the next. And so far, the cold calling is working and just trying to grind it out every day.
You can give Brett a call at 479-651-2292. That is 479-651-2292. You can talk insurance. You can talk football. You can talk hot sauce, everything under the sun. Brett, you can do it all, man, and we really appreciate it this morning.
I appreciate it. Thanks, guys, and go Hogs. We'll talk to you next week.
All right, Brett. Good to hear from you as always.